Have you ever wondered about the untold stories of the Bible? The secrets buried deep in the ancient text stories that most of us have never heard. Today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and fascinating questions in human history. Who was Cain's wife? And what about the forgotten daughters of Adam and Eve? Yes, you heard that right. There's a whole layer of mystery surrounding the first family that will leave you absolutely stunned. Trust me, you're going to want to stay until the end for this one, because the answers we uncover may just change the way you see these ancient texts forever. But before we dive in, smash that subscribe button and hit the like button to let us know you love uncovering mysteries like this one. Don't forget to ring the bell icon so you don't miss the next mind-blowing video. Alright, let's unravel the mystery. Alright, let's set the stage. Most of us know the story of Adam and Eve, the first humans created by God. They lived in the Garden of Eden, ate the forbidden fruit, and were cast out of paradise. They went on to have two sons, Cain, the farmer, and Abel, the shepherd. But then tragedy struck. Cain, consumed by jealousy, killed his brother Abel. And here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. After God punishes Cain and sends him away to the land of Nod, east of Eden, the Bible suddenly drops a bombshell. Cain has a wife and starts a family. Wait a second, where did Cain's wife come from? If Adam and Eve were the first humans and they only had two sons at this point, how is this even possible? Did the Bible miss something? Did God create other humans that we were never told about? Or is there a deeper, hidden story here? Let's decode this mystery, starting with the forgotten daughters of Adam and Eve. That's right, Adam and Eve didn't just have Cain and Abel. According to ancient Jewish texts and interpretations, they had many other children, including daughters. In fact, the book of Genesis even says in chapter 5 verse 4 that Adam had other sons and daughters, but their names, their stories, completely erased, forgotten, or ignored by history. Now, picture this: Cain, exiled and wandering in the land of Nod, encounters one of these daughters, his own sister, or possibly a niece. Yes, it sounds strange to us today, but back then, with such a small human population, close intermarriage was a necessity for survival. It's believed that Cain's wife could have been one of Adam and Eve's unnamed daughters. And here's where things get even more fascinating. Some scholars argue that these forgotten daughters weren't just silent figures, they were pivotal in spreading humanity across the earth. Imagine the courage it took for these women to leave Eden behind, to venture into the unknown alongside their brothers, building new communities, and shaping the course of human history. They were pioneers in their own right, but history chose to silence their voices. Now, let's circle back to the land of Nod. This place has fascinated historians and theologians for centuries. The Bible doesn't tell us much about it, but some believe it was already inhabited by other humans, perhaps descendants of Adam and Eve's earlier children who had moved away. Others suggest that Nod might represent a symbolic place, a land of wandering and exile. But if there were already people there, does that mean God created other humans apart from Adam and Eve? Could it be that the Bible only tells the story of one family and not the full history of humanity? And then there's the theory that Cain's wife wasn't even fully human. Some ancient legends and interpretations suggest that she could have been a being of another kind, perhaps a member of the Nephilim, the mysterious giants mentioned later in the Bible. Could Cain's exile have led him to a completely different kind of people, blending the lineages we don't fully understand? Of course, there's also the scientific angle. Many anthropologists believe that early humans lived in small, isolated groups and intermarried to ensure survival. This aligns with the idea that Cain's wife was likely a close relative. But what's fascinating is that the Bible leaves so much unsaid, inviting us to dig deeper and speculate. And that's what makes this story so compelling. The Bible gives us just enough to spark our curiosity, but not enough to satisfy it completely. It's almost as if it's challenging us to explore, to question, and to seek out the hidden truths of our origins. Now, let's talk more about these forgotten daughters. Why were they left out of the main biblical narrative? Some believe it's because ancient societies were patriarchal, and the focus was placed on the male lineage. But think about it, without these daughters, humanity wouldn't have survived. They were the unsung heroes, the mothers of nations, the ones who carried the future in their hands. And here's another twist. Could the daughters of Adam and Eve have played a role in the rise of early civilizations? Think about it, these were the first humans with knowledge passed down directly from the Creator. They may have carried divine wisdom, shaping the early world in ways we can only imagine. So, here's the ultimate question for you. Do you think Cain's wife was one of Adam and Eve's daughters? Or do you believe there's more to the story, hidden histories, forgotten civilizations, and ancient secrets waiting to be uncovered? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because this is a mystery that deserves all of our attention. And hey, if you're as fascinated by mysteries like this one as I am, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button if you want me to dive into more biblical secrets and ancient mysteries, and ring that bell icon so you never miss an episode. Trust me, there's so much more to uncover. Now, if you think this was mind-blowing, just wait until you hear about the Nephilim, the giants of the ancient world, and the mysterious watchers mentioned in the book of Enoch. Should we explore that next? Let me know in the comments if you want me to expand on this story and continue the journey. Alright, let's dig even deeper into the story of Cain, his mysterious wife, and the forgotten daughters of Adam and Eve. We've already touched on some intriguing possibilities, but the more you uncover, the more questions arise. And trust me, this is where the story gets even juicier. Let's talk about the timeline of humanity. If Adam and Eve were the first humans and Cain was their firstborn son, the question isn't just about who Cain's wife was, it's also about when. The Bible tells us that Adam lived for 930 years and had many sons and daughters. Imagine the scale of time we're talking about here. Entire generations could have been born and raised while Adam and Eve were still alive. Cain's wife could have been from one of these later generations, which means there could have been dozens, even hundreds, of people alive at the time of his exile. But here's a twist. What if Cain's wife wasn't just a sister or a niece? What if she came from an entirely different lineage? Some ancient texts and interpretations, like those found in the apocryphal writings, hint at the possibility of other humans being created alongside Adam and Eve, humans who lived outside the Garden of Eden. These interpretations suggest that Adam and Eve's story is only one part of a much larger narrative about the origins of humanity. Think about it. If God created Adam and Eve as the first humans in Eden, could he have created others elsewhere to populate the world? The Bible doesn't explicitly say this, but other ancient traditions, like those from Mesopotamia, include stories of multiple human creations. Could Cain's wife have been one of these other humans, living far from Eden in a place like Nod? And speaking of Nod, let's dive into this mysterious land. The Bible tells us that Cain went to live in Nod after being cursed by God. But here's the thing, Nod isn't just a random name. In Hebrew, Nod means wandering. Could this land have been a metaphor for Cain's exile? A place where he was destined to wander without rest? Or could it have been a real location, perhaps home to an early civilization we've forgotten over time? Here's where things get even more fascinating. Some archaeologists and biblical historians believe that the land of Nod could have been part of the Fertile Crescent, where some of the earliest human settlements were found. If that's true, Cain's story might intersect with the rise of agriculture, cities, and the first societies. Imagine this: Cain, cursed to wander, finds his way to a small, primitive village. There, he meets a woman, the daughter of Adam and Eve, or perhaps someone from another lineage entirely. And their union marks the beginning of a new chapter in human history. But hold on, this story isn't just about Cain. What about the daughters of Adam and Eve? These women, unnamed and largely forgotten, were likely the true backbone of early humanity. They would have been the ones raising children, gathering food, and passing down knowledge. Their contributions were vital, yet their stories have been overshadowed by the focus on male figures like Cain, Abel, and Seth. In some ancient Jewish traditions, the daughters of Adam and Eve are given names and stories. For example, some texts mention a woman named Awen, who is said to have been Cain's wife. Others mention Azura, who is said to have married Cain's brother, Seth. These names may not be in the Bible, but they give us a glimpse into how people in the ancient world tried to fill in the gaps of the story. And it's not just the Bible or Jewish texts that hold clues. In many ancient mythologies, the idea of forgotten daughters, mysterious wives, and hidden lineages is a recurring theme. Could these stories point to a shared human memory of our earliest days of time, when humanity was just beginning to spread across the earth? But let's get even more speculative for a moment. What if Cain's wife wasn't human at all? What if she was one of the Nephilim, the mysterious beings mentioned later in the Bible, described as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men? Some interpretations suggest that the Nephilim were a race of giants or divine beings who existed before the Great Flood. Could Cain, in his exile, have encountered one of these beings and taken her as his wife? Imagine the implications of that. If Cain's wife was a Nephilim or some other kind of divine or supernatural being, it could explain why his descendants were so significant in the Bible. Remember, Cain's lineage included people like Lamech, who introduced polygamy, and Tubal-Cain, who was known as a master of metalworking. Could these advancements have come from a supernatural connection? Of course. These are just theories, ideas meant to spark curiosity and encourage us to dig deeper. The truth is, we may never know exactly who Cain's wife was or what happened to the daughters of Adam and Eve. But that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about answers, it's about the journey of discovery, the questions that keep us searching for meaning. So, where does this leave us? Were the forgotten daughters of Adam and Eve the silent heroines of early humanity? Was Cain's wife a sister, a niece, or someone from an entirely different lineage? Or was she something else, entirely part of a mystery that stretches beyond the pages of the Bible? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let me know, who do you think Cain's wife was? And what do you think happened to the daughters of Adam and Eve? Were they truly forgotten? Or are their stories waiting to be rediscovered? And hey, if you love this journey into the mysteries of the Bible, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button to show your support. And ring the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Trust me, this is just the beginning. There are so many more mysteries to uncover, from the Nephilim to the secrets of the Great Flood. In fact, should we expand this story even further? Maybe dive deeper into the Nephilim or the mysterious watchers mentioned in the Book of Enoch? Let me know in the comments if you want me to continue this epic journey, because believe me, there's so much more to explore. Alright, my fellow seekers of truth, buckle up, because we're about to take this mystery to the next level. We've explored Cain's wife, the land of Nod, and the forgotten daughters of Adam and Eve. But there's still more to uncover, details that could completely reframe how we understand the earliest days of humanity. Let's tie this all together in a way that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the origins of mankind. First, let's revisit Cain's wife. If we accept that she was one of Adam and Eve's daughters or granddaughters, it raises an important question. Why does the Bible barely mention these women? Why are they nameless? This isn't just a historical oversight. It reflects how ancient societies often prioritized male lineage, while overlooking the contributions of women. But make no mistake, without these daughters, there would be no humanity. They were the ones who bore children, passed on knowledge, and helped build the first communities. Now, imagine the courage and resilience it must have taken for these women to leave the safety of their families to venture into the unknown with their brothers or cousins, and to help create entirely new communities. These women weren't just forgotten, they were pioneers. And while their names may have been erased from the main narrative, their legacy lives on in every single one of us. But there's another layer to this story, the possibility that Cain's wife and the daughters of Adam and Eve weren't the only people around. Let's talk about the other theories, ones that suggest the Bible is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Could there have been other humans created alongside Adam and Eve? Or could there have been pre-Adamic humans, as some ancient traditions suggest? If so, Cain's wife might have come from an entirely separate lineage, one that coexisted with Adam and Eve's family. And what about the land of Nod? If we take it as a real, physical place, it suggests that there were already people living there, people who may have descended from Adam and Eve's earlier children, or perhaps from another creation entirely. Imagine Cain, carrying the weight of his curse, wandering into this land and meeting people who had no idea about his past, his crime, or his connection to Eden. How would they have reacted to him? And how did Cain convince one of them to become his wife? Here's where the story gets even more mysterious. Some ancient texts and legends suggest that Cain may have become a kind of leader or founder in the land of Nod. The Bible tells us that he built a city and named it after his son, Enoch. But think about this. How does a lone wanderer suddenly build a city? It's possible that the people of Nod already had some form of settlement, and Cain, with his knowledge of agriculture and tools, helped them expand it. Could this be the origin of the first civilizations? And then there's the supernatural angle. We've touched on the Nephilim, the mysterious giants mentioned in the Bible and other ancient texts. Some interpretations suggest that these beings were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. Could Cain, in his exile, have encountered these beings? And could his wife have been one of them? If so, that would explain why Cain's descendants were so remarkable, pioneering advancements in agriculture, metalworking, and music. Now, let's consider the spiritual implications of this story. Cain's journey from being the firstborn of humanity to becoming the first murderer, and then a builder of cities, is a story of redemption, resilience, and the complexity of human nature. It reminds us that even those who are cast out can find a way to contribute, to create, and to leave a legacy. And the forgotten daughters of Adam and Eve, they remind us that even when history tries to erase us, our impact can still echo through the ages. So, what do we take away from all of this? Cain's wife, the land of Nod, the forgotten daughters of Adam and Eve, these are more than just mysteries. They're invitations to explore, to question, and to seek out the hidden stories that have shaped our world. They challenge us to look beyond the surface, to consider possibilities we might never have imagined, and to keep searching for the truth. And now, I have a question for you. After everything we've uncovered, what do you think? Was Cain's wife one of Adam and Eve's daughters? Was she from another lineage? Or do you think there's an entirely different explanation we haven't even considered yet? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This is a conversation we need to have, and I want to hear your theories. And before you go, don't forget to show your support for this channel. Smash that like button if you enjoyed unraveling this mystery with, and hit subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into history, mythology, and ancient secrets. And hey, share this video with your friends. Let's get everyone talking about these incredible stories. Together, we can keep the search for truth alive. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep seeking the stories that shape who we are. I'll see you in the next video.